Hey there, welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock, hard rock, heavy metal, and other forms of rock music. So tonight it's our Friday night live experience, and I've chosen the back half of the one I did last week, which is this one, Genesis Live, The Way We Walk Belongs. So, you know what I really thought was going to happen with this when I first bought the two albums. I thought one of them would be all those short songs from the 80s and 90s that I didn't care for, and a lot of that's true. So I thought it's going to be the same with this album, right? Not true. I thought this would be all of the stuff from the Gabriel and the 80s or the 70s era. No, that's not what we got here. Okay, anyways, before we go too far with this, let's say released January the 11th, 1993. Length is about 70 minutes. From Virgin and Atlantic Records. And it was produced by, of course, Nick Davis and Robert Colby and the rest of Genesis. So appearing on the album, Phil Collins on lead vocals, percussion. Tony Banks on keyboards, vocals, backing vocals. Mike Rutherford on bass, electric guitar, and backing vocals. Daryl Strumer, bass and electric guitars, and Chester Thompson on percussion and drums. Okay, so, and actually Phil Collins does play drums on this album. He didn't on the first one. So anyways, what we have here is the first song out of, there's basically 6 tracks on here that are roughly 10 minutes or more, except for the last track, which I think is only 6 minutes. Okay, so basically the first part starts out with Dance on a Volcano. And I'm thinking, well, this is cool, I like this. But then halfway through Dance on a Volcano, it switches to Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. And then a little bit into that, it switches to the Music Box. And then it switches to First of Fifth. And then I Know What I Want, and I Know What I Like, and then some other stuff goes on. So it's a medley is what it turns out to be. That's fine. A medley's okay. 12 minutes of medley. And I thought, okay, so they'll do some of the other songs like Watchers of the Sky or The Knife or whatever, and that'll be pretty good. So, but it starts out, the second track on here is Driving the Last Spike. I'm going, okay, this is cool. And it just plays the whole song. Then it goes, the third track, Domino, Part 1, The Glow in the Night. So I go and I take the disc and I start looking at it and I said, holy mackerel. They ain't playing anything from the Gabriel era except for that medley. So it was a little bit of a cool thing at the end, though, with the drum duet. I thought that was pretty cool. Not great, but pretty cool. And Phil Collins' voice is pretty much the same on this album. I think it's actually a little bit better than the other album. It just seems to be off. And, you know, I had a comment on the last video that said that he had cold at the time. And that could be it. I don't know. I haven't listened to any other albums with that fall within that time period recently, so I'm not sure if that is in fact what happened, or maybe his voice has just become different. You know what happens. But anyways, the music isn't bad. It's Genesis. So even, you know, not great Genesis is better than most people's good stuff, in my opinion. So Genesis pop music is better than just about anybody else's pop music, in my opinion. And a lot of that is because they're outstanding musicians. Production's usually very good. Phil Collins is an excellent vocalist. And the two guys they got to play the parts that Steve Hackett and Phil Collins would normally have played before Peter Gabriel left are decent musicians. They're good musicians, right? I'm not as crazy about the tracks on here as I was on the first one, which surprised me because I figured these are the longs. I was thinking The Watchers of the Sky, maybe Battle of Epping Forest. Not that. None of that appeared here. The medley was okay. I have to say the medley was okay. They didn't play it exactly the way it would have been on the album, so that's cool. Overall, it's not a bad listening to. Like, I never took it off. I listened to the entire thing. And I actually sat there and listened to it. Some albums I just kind of tune out after a while, and I can hear them playing, but I don't really pay attention too much. But I listened to the whole thing. And so I would say that if you could get this for a reasonable price now, I got this copy for about $7. The other one I got for $2 because I bought it at a store. I spotted it there, I got it, paid my $2, and but they didn't have the longs. So I was in one of those Beat Goes On, I think that's the name of the store that I was in. And they had this and another album, the Led Zeppelin 3. They were about $6 or $7. I'm thinking that's less than I would normally pay for. Like that Led Zeppelin 3 would have probably cost me $10 in most places, so I was happy to get it. And then I thought, and they got this one, so now I got the second one, and this one was only $5.99. I thought, I'm not going to probably buy it. I probably wouldn't have bought it if it was $10 or even $8. I don't like it enough to say that about it. I tend to rate albums by what I would pay for them. I wouldn't pay more than $5 or $6 for this. Now with that Black Sabbath Born Again album, which I bought at my favorite store, I paid $25 for it, and I feel like that was what I think it was worth. It's such a good album. But anyways, there you go. And it's you'd think there'd be a little bit more instrumentation on here because the songs, at least in the medley, are a little bit more complex. But it was toned down. And I get the real impression from Genesis, at least, I've seen this. I've seen them at their at the Hall of Fame induction. I think they were inducted in 2011. And I saw them on some other interview sessions. And then I saw the Peter Gabriel, Steve Hackett, and Mike Rutherford, Tony Banks, Phil Collins kind of sessions about the albums. And I always get the impression, at least from Tony Banks, maybe not as much from Mike Rutherford, who tend to be a little more quiet about it, or even Phil Collins, who I think is kind of a leader in that Tony Banks just doesn't see the purpose of why they played the progressive rock. That's the feeling I get from him. Like, he says, so is this music we played in the 70s, why people make such a big deal out of it? It's not that great. Now, I always get that impression from him. I'm not saying that it's true. That's just the impression that I get from him. And to a lesser extent, I get that from Phil Collins and Mike Rutherford as well. Like, they just seem to we played that music in the 70s. We're not playing it anymore. I don't know what the big deal is, The big deal is that the music that came out in the 70s, the Gabriel era, and even the first few albums after he left, was memorable music. It's music that lasts forever. This stuff, Illegal Alien, maybe they might remember a few of these songs in a decade or so, but most people won't remember them. Out of sight, out of mind. If you actually, this is a live Genesis concert. I know I'm ranting a bit here because I get annoyed with this, but this is a live Genesis concert. featuring Genesis music. Some of it from the 70s, most of it from their 80s and 90s. And if you really want to see good Genesis music, like played the way it's supposed to be played, these are not the guys to see. The guy you should see is Steve Hackett, because he put together an excellent band, and they play the Genesis music that I like the way it's supposed to be played, and he's probably the only one of them that's doing that. Peter Gabriel, I love Peter Gabriel, he's one of my favorite musicians, but he ain't playing Genesis. He don't play any Genesis. He plays his stuff, and that's good for me because I like his stuff from him. If he was going to go back and play with Genesis, these guys, and Steve Hackett, then I'd want to hear him sing the Genesis stuff. But other than that, if you really want to see Genesis played the way Genesis has been played when it was great, the best guy to see is Steve Hackett. Okay, enough of that. So this was supposed to be the live album. It's just, can you tell that I was somewhat disappointed that the longs didn't include some of their actually long, good songs? Yeah. Okay, and enough said about it. Having said all that, I do listen to the album. I don't mind it. I really don't mind it. I just, like, I don't know why these guys, you know, yes, you made a lot more money playing this stuff, but they can't be that dense that they don't know that the stuff from the 70s is the stuff everybody wants to hear, the stuff that people love. Yeah, you're going to get some people that love their Illegal Alien stuff, but those people are not Genesis fans. Those are just people who like that music, and they might even actually be Phil Collins fans. I don't know. Okay. Anyways, I don't want to go on too much because I'm liable to piss some people off, and that really wasn't what I set out to do. Anyways, this was a live experience, Friday night live experience with Genesis, one of my favorite bands, and they're good live. It is what it is. So, anyways, I hope you like the video, and I hope you would like to see more of this kind of stuff. So please subscribe, and it's much appreciated. And I hope you have a good evening and enjoy the Friday night. And goodbye.